Vroom vroom. We are at Sonic the Hedgehog 3, a trilogy so far. And if you watch the post-credit scenes,
We're getting a fourth one.
we're getting a fourth one. So, Mr. Pancakes, let's talk about Sonic. Sonic 1, 2, and 3, right?
Right. So this is one of my most anticipated movies of 2024. It definitely deliver, but I definitely agree with the two friends that one of us, including Johnny 64, that Sonic 2 is probably the best one in the franchise. But this was a very enjoyable movie. I stand by what I said in our short. Fun, fantastic, and funny. I know there's some complaints about the comedy. It didn't bother me. I was laughing my ass off.
Well, that's the thing, though, with the comedy aspect of this. Like, we understand it's centered around children being the
right.
the clientele that you want to watch this movie.
But a lot of the driving force of this movie and the three movies is
nostalgia.
Is nostalgia and Jim Carrey's star power with his comedy. So you're gonna milk every bit of that.
I do agree. I feel like Jim Carrey in this movie went a bit too far in some scenes. Like, at one point, they're doing a dance-off with the lasers. I felt like that went on a little too long. It was not really
Did you
needed.
like him in the dual role as Robotnik
Yes.
and his grandfather?
Yes. Yeah.
His grandfather. It was his grandfather.
Yeah, his grandfather. Okay. Why did I think it was his father? Anyway, so whatever. Okay. So you had his little poppy, right? That's what he called him, right?
Right.
And as a dual character, I liked it because they basically was the same person. It's just that one had a white mustache, the other one had a brown mustache.
But the old man was the more evil character,
cynical. Yeah.
Yeah. He really manipulated his grandson.
Yes.
Because of what happened, but his grandson just wanted. Even he had a moral compass, even though he tried to kill Sonic in the second movie.
Right.
He's like he wanted to take over the world, not destroy it.
We saw this movie, right?
We did.
At the same time that this movie came out, Mufasa also came out.
Right.
So we all knew that we were going to go watch Sonic because Pancakes has been talking about this for the last 12 months about
have I?
You have. So now, this movie, first weekend, opening weekend, makes $62 million.
And had a Mufasa, dude.
Here's the thing. It made $62 million domestically. Can you take a wild guess on how much it made internationally?
110 mil.
I would love to agree with you, but no. Sadly, Sonic only made $1.3 million internationally.
That's
for a total of worldwide having $63.3 million. Now, it's not a bad number. It's a good number because their budget was like $100 and something million. But the thing is, though, it feels like the international crowd is not that interested in Sonic.
Well, I'm curious for the numbers from Japan, just that country, because that's the origin, of Sega and things like that. And it's just opening weekend, and keep in mind these two movies did come out around the holidays, so and more people are off from work and school, so that number will definitely go up. As far as the product we got on screen, with the video game aspect and the classic characters, I thought they did a really good job. Shadow was well done. Keanu Reeves killed it with the voice. He took the anti-hero feel, even though it's not really a hero, from John Wick to playing the villain / turn anti-hero by the movie in Shadow. Like, you really felt the pain and the character through the voice of Keanu Reeves and the performance he did. He definitely brought the edge that the character needs to have when it was presented on screen. I thought in the Shadow scenes alone, I wish we got a little more Shadow. It's one of my few criticisms of this.
Here's the thing. I felt like Keanu, the way he portrayed Shadow was very like monotone.
Monotone.
Yeah, he was like, "Hi, my name is Shadow."
So he was
Like,
doing his Neo voice
yeah,
from the Matrix.
it felt like very Neo Matrix wise. But just to go back a little bit, the numbers, right?
Right.
The numbers in Mufasa tell a whole different story of where the viewers throughout the whole world are interested in, right?
Right.
Because the domestic run of Mufasa was only $35 million, but internationally it was 90 million.
Well, that's the Disney machine behind it.
Exactly. So now worldwide it's made 125. It has made double than what Sonic has done, but Sonic has made more domestically. So the question would be, does it have the legs to stand on to keep going, or is Mufasa going to overtake it? Now, Mufasa is not a movie that we saw, so we're not going to keep talking about Mufasa.
No.
But the numbers, it's the numbers that make you wonder, like, do people like Sonic more or do they like Mufasa? So going back to Sonic, I agree that picking Keanu as the voice for Shadow was great, and they were almost alluding to it since the first movie.
Right. I remember.
Because there's a lot of this movie is very meta. Right? You can't say no, because that's what I meant in the short when I said that it was a better DC movie than DC has ever made, because it had more nods to DC with the little jokes and the quips that they were doing than DC does.
So yeah, we got the DC nod when Robotnik was fighting with his grandfather, and he had the giant hand. And he took the shot at 2011 Green Lantern.
Right.
We saw all the destruction, like Man of Steel.
Yeah,
the giant spaceship.
It's hysterical because Johnny 64 has said it in the theater as we were sitting there, and he's like, "This brings Man of Steel to shame because of all the destruction that it's done." And I was like, you know what? You bring an absolutely great point to this, because they destroyed almost everything wherever they were going. They were destroying things.
But I did enjoy the battle between Super Sonic and Super Shadow.
Yes.
The Emeralds, which is basically their version of the Infinity Stones.
Right.
That's straight from the games. So that was a cool thing that we got to see power up Sonic and power up Shadow go at it. And then they realized they have a common enemy, and Shadow was misled. So when they went after the true villain, which was Robotnik's grandfather, the visuals were well done.
I have a question for you, since you brought up the whole thing. Do you know the original story of Sonic from the games and everything? How what's her name? Shadow's Maria, right?
Maria, yeah. Maria, Shadow. They did a good job of including that. Like, Shadow had a bond.
But did you like the fact that they kind of changed it, because in the game she was shot, right? In the movie she wasn't.
I guess they had to do it in a way because, Shadow's a more gritty character, more edgy. They had to do it in a way where, she got hurt off camera.
Right.
She got hurt in the explosion.
Right.
So
not hurt. She
was fatally hurt.
Yeah.
She was killed, which was pretty dark for a quote unquote, I guess, family movie.
Well, I mean, at one point you had Shadow holding a gun,
yes,
and he was freaking on a bike at the same time, like he was on a motorcycle. Which, at one point, when he got onto the motorcycle, I was like, "Why is he on a motorcycle if he can run?" But at the same time, though, he used his chaos magic, right, and it helped the bike go faster. So, in a sense, I was like, "Okay, that makes sense. All right, I'm for it. Okay, cool."
I love that. I love the use of the rings to travel from one place to another.
But they're running out of rings. I mean, how many rings can they possibly have?
Well, with the introduction, I mentioned what happens in the after credits scene. Or
yeah, why not? Go for it.
Well, we see Sonic, after in celebration, he does a race against Knuckles and Tails, and then he gets ambushed by Sonic robots. But he gets saved by the introduction of Amy, and she with no voice, so a role that hasn't been cast. So seeds planted for Sonic 4,
right?
So she might have more rings, assuming she's from the same world as Sonic.
I'm sure they're all from the same world. There's no way that they're not, right?
I also really love Knuckles as he appears on screen here. He kind of, I like this portrayal in they kind of, I don't want to say soften his character, but he's more of a team player.
Well, if you saw the show, which you have,
Yeah.
but the show made him more relatable to people,
Right.
more understanding.
One thing I wanted to see, but Knuckles back down is a fight between Sonic and Knuckles because Knuckles was trusted with the secret of the Emerald Stone
Right.
to power up, and I know Johnny didn't like that scene where like they went back to that character from Knuckles, who was the lead. He only had one scene in this movie. I think that was the only tie-in to the Knuckles show. Was
the
Adam Pauly's character?
Yeah.
If I'm saying his name right, in that instinct, but the comedy where he's playing hockey on the roof, he's like, I'm gonna guide
with the emerald. Why?
He's like, I'm guiding this with this life, and Sonic just steals it. No effort, no hesitation whatsoever. It's like, oh, at least I tried.
Well, what did you think of Stone? Eggman's.
They gave him a bigger role, like his loyalty and his friendship to him.
Friendship. I mean, towards the end, it became a friendship, but throughout the course of the movie, it was like more like he was stepping on him. Throughout the whole time.
Okay, one-sided friendship, and he was he threw him away for his newly discovered grandfather.
Well, he had to. I mean, you've never seen your grandfather, right? So you're going to have to spend time with him. You're going to have to you hang out with him so you know who he is and what he does.
To the behind the scenes of the movie, I think like I mentioned this in the past. The director Jeff Fowler, this was a full circle moment for him because he worked on the 2005 Shadow game as a programmer, and he was thrilled to bring this to the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben Schwartz, the voice of Sonic, who killed it again, is a true fan. I saw an interview. Like they asked him about the after credits scene. He's like, yeah, I can't say more detail, but this plants the seeds for a fourth movie if it happens. And the scene,
damn well.
Yeah, Paramount Pictures.
We're getting a number 4.
Paramount Pictures and Sega are gonna make this movie happen.
Of course they are.
Yeah, you can't leave it like that. They took inspiration from the 2005 game. I think the Sonic Adventures game from 2001.
Okay.
For the fans to see where they got the inspiration. I like the team dynamic. Yeah, Sonic is is the namesake of the movie and the franchise, but
then you had everybody else. You had all these people
Tails
show
and
up.
Knuckles were well used, but very much the Sonic show and the human element. Robotnik dominated that. I wish we got a little bit more of Kristen Ritter's character as Rockwell.
Yeah, because she was in there for like 2 minutes in the beginning of the movie, and then in the last and towards the end of the final act, she was in there for another minute.
She could easily be set up as one of the villains.
Somebody needs to take over Gunn now, right?
Yeah.
So
Jim Carrey. The hilarious story what the production crew did with the script when they gave it to Jim Carrey. I guess it was a funny request. He wanted the script delivered made out of gold. So they spent $100,000 to have the script made in 24-karat gold or lettering.
That's insane.
You're right.
That's insane. Why would you mark up the budget so high to do? See, that's when people start becoming divas because they're just like.
But Jim Carrey has hinted at retirement. I think he probably
He's not going to retire. He retired before filming this movie, and then all of a sudden said, I'm back.
Yes, well, the paydays, the biggest part of it, but you could tell he's having fun with this role.
Yeah, to me, it felt very Ace Ventura-ish, the way he was acting, his face, like he became like the cartoon version of a human being that we know that he does in comedies like that. So I felt like it was great. I feel like he did his job. I think it went a little above more than what it should have. But at the same time, though, this was an enjoyable flick.
It was an enjoyable flick.
You cannot go in there and say, well, I didn't like it. It's impossible. Like, this movie was fun. There was action. There was um, comedy.
It's a very good action comedy.
Yes,
If you want to
yes,
break it down to
yes,
that.
yes. It was great, and yeah, that's all I have to say about this movie. I think if you have to choose what to watch this weekend, Sonic would be great.
I say go see it, and I personally would go see it again. That's how much I enjoyed this movie.
Nice. Well, the question goes out to you. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you excited that we're going to get a number 4 or potentially a number 4? Let us know in the comment section down below.